Hello, bros. We're back with The Making of a Vampire, Paracelsus, Rabbi Loew, Saint Germain, Dracula by Alexander Şendrea, 1982 book. I'm breaking my normal mode of just reading different books, but kind of feel like I just need to start completing books. Maybe pumping out several chapters a day, but I'll probably get bored with that. But anyway, let's see where we're at. Bra. Did I finish this part? Bra was in Benetek, a few miles from Prague, where he supervised the building of his Fortress of the Heavens, Uraniborg, the astronomical observatory. Before complying with the emperor's request, Bra did what any concerned astrologer would do on the eve of any audience. He consulted the stars to get the last auguries of the day. Then he put on his golden nose. When he was young, Bra lost his nose in Wittenberg, Germany, in a duel with the knight who scoffed at him. After recovery, Bra cleverly fabricated the new nose of gold, silver, and wax which fitted him admirably. With his golden nose, Bra looked impressive. All the eyes turned toward him when he showed up in the emperor's antechamber. As usual, he had to wait because the emperor was busy. This time, Rudolph was receiving a message from the King of France, and the French ambassador was still in the emperor's cabinet. While waiting in the antechamber, Bra was introduced to a fiery prince who had been waiting desperately for weeks to see Rudolph. The prince, Michael the Brave of Wallachia, figure 32, had been summoned to Prague as witness to the emperor's investigation of some political and military developments in Transylvania. Michael had recently conquered the two other Romanian principalities, Transylvania and Moldova, thus bringing all territories of the ancient Dacia under his dominion, but some Hungarian barons of Transylvania rebelled and produced disorder in several cities. Rudolph had summoned Michael to Prague, apparently to give him military assistance to fight the rebels, but more stringent state problems kept the emperor. To see the prince in the audience was postponed day after day after day. Filled with concern, Michael shared with Bra his anxiety over his inertia in Prague, while in Transylvania the rebels had plenty of time to organize. Tycho Brahe was intrigued indeed to learn of these developments in Transylvania and was about to tell Michael of his decision to consult the stars in his behalf when suddenly the door of the emperor's cabinet opened and the French ambassador left in a hurry, upset and furious. Almost immediately, the usher announced Tycho Brahe to the emperor, and the astrologer bade the prince au revoir. Rudolph II, King of Bohemia and Hungary and Holy Roman Emperor, was a reserved man of a very mild disposition, suspicious and distant with his subjects, cultured and learned, a lover of arts and sciences, partially interested in alchemy and thaumaturgy. He had brought to Prague many alchemists and had built for them an entire street with dwellings and laboratories, the Golden Lane, bearing the title of Holy Roman Emperor, i.e., a successor of Carolus Magnus, the great European emperor of the past, when Europe was one single country. Rudolph was revered by all other small emperors, kings, and princes of that time, Christian Europe. Clunky wording, but there we are. When Tycho Brahe entered the imperial cabinet, the sovereign imparted to him his anxiety concerning the golem. The astrologer confessed that he too was surprised by the turmoil produced in the ghetto and asked the emperor to summon Rabbi Loew for more information. The emperor charged Brahe to fetch the rabbi in a few days. The day of the next audience, Tycho Brahe came to the Hradschin accompanied by Rabbi Loew. In the antechamber, he met again with Prince Michael of Wallachia, who was Wallachia, wasn't it? Wallachia, who was walking from corner to corner like a lion in a cage. For him, it was the third week of waiting for an audience. Bra introduced the rabbi to the prince, and then the two pundits were announced to the emperor. Rudolph asked the rabbi to explain in all details what happened in the ghetto and who was Yossel the Golem. It will be as you, my master and Kaiser, desire, Rabbi Loew replied in a mild tone intended to appease the emperor's mood. He then made a full report explaining minutely all the particulars concerning the golem, from his apparition at the window one rainy night in April to the disorders that lately took place in the ghetto. You'll have more troubles than services from that creature, the emperor said, and I want you to send him back to his whereabouts. He is totally in my power. If it pleases your imperial majesty, he can do nothing without my order. I beg your imperial majesty to give me permission to keep him as my obedient servant. He is my only weapon against our enemies. He is endowed with supernatural forces. If I understood you well, and you can lose your control over him at any time, even then I have dominion over him, the rabbi said. He then revealed the secret of the amulet and the magic word, Emmet. Tell me, where did he come from? Bra interposed. The rabbi, who had carefully investigated the wanderings of the ghost, told them the story of Dracula and mentioned, of course, the country of Wallachia. When the name of that country was uttered, Tycho Brahe motioned to the emperor and suggested that Prince Michael, who was waiting in the antechamber, be questioned for more information. Rudolph agreed and ordered one of his counselors to bring Michael in. The stormy prince, mustached and bearded, wore a huge Phrygian-like fur hat which was slanted to one side and had a colorful capercailzie, I don't know how to say it, capercailzie, feather fixed on the other side by a brooch of diamonds. He entered, bowed graciously, first to the emperor and then to the high-ranking court dignitaries, knights and dames. Believing he was called in to explain the Transylvanian situation for which he was already waiting for 3 weeks, he began immediately to tell his story so quickly, so eloquently, and so volubly that for a long while his impetuous voice was the only one to be heard in the emperor cabinet. No one was able to stop him. The emperor listened, baffled, through the entire discourse, which was of little interest to him at that moment. However, when Michael finished, the emperor assured the energetic speaker of his imperial willingness to re-examine that matter carefully with Michael, but later, on a future date. If it pleases your imperial majesty, I have already waited for 3 weeks for this examination, and this time the emperor was on the alert and stopped Michael before he could begin another long discourse. He then asked the prince to tell the audience whatever he knew about Dracula. Although Michael did not belong to the same dynasty as Vlad II Dracula, he knew pretty well the history of the predecessor of the Wallachian throne. He therefore began a new discourse, eloquently, volubly, and quickly about the history of Wallachia, the pillages committed by the Turks, the reign and fall of Vlad II Dracula, the techniques and methods of impalement, the abilities and failures of the executioners, the pains and tribulations of the convicts, the necessity to impale certain Turks, and so on. He explained everything with such accuracy and charm that the audience was delighted. All sanguinary cruelties were much appreciated at that time, especially by the celestial young dames of the imperial courts. However, Michael told nothing about the black cat and the role of that feline in his ancestor's funeral. When he paused to breathe, Rabbi Loew skillfully seized the occasion and told the audience about that particular episode. Eventually, the emperor asked Michael if he were willing to take the vampire back home with him in a bottle. How could I, if it pleases your imperial majesty? I have no power over demons. I don't know how to make him so small as to enter a bottle. Then I suspect I'll have problems with him if he comes out of the bottle. Here's wise Rabbi Loew, our distinguished guest. He will tell you how to deal with the demon. Rabbi Loew didn't want to tell how. On the contrary, he fought desperately for permission to keep the Golem with him, and a long discussion began with Tycho Brahe over the possibility of whether or not the Golem could act independently of Rabbi Loew's command. Finally, the emperor decided to let the rabbi maintain the Golem in his custody until the end of the year. Then he dismissed the audience. Something tells me that this story is nothing but a story, although the writer has said that. Wise Rabbi Loew went home very satisfied. Over the following months, Yossel the Golem, under the guidance of his master, performed a series of acts which proved to be of great benefit to the Jewish community of Prague. Many Goyim were punished. In the confusion created by the attacks and counterattacks in and out of the ghetto, Yossel the Golem had many an opportunity to delight himself with his preferred natural food. He grew stronger and stronger, and one day the rabbi sent him to the market to buy honey. The barrel of honey was heavy, but Yossel carried it easily on his head, in the oriental manner of carrying burdens. At one moment, however, Yossel became tired. He felt a pain in his head and decided to take a rest in the central park of the city, which was on his way home. He was resting on a bench for quite a while, petting his head at the place of the pain and watching the birds that pecked each other around him, when suddenly he leaped to his feet. He left the barrel with honey on the bench and began running about toward the ghetto like mad, feeling his forces growing immensely, killing wildly those whom he met, sucking blood now and then from the necks of the girls who fell into his hands, and destroying everything in sight, shelters, trees, and bushes. He pulled down several walls and tore out many trees by the roots. The havoc in the streets was terrible, and the panic struck the whole Jewish quarter. The horrified populace gathered in large number to defend their synagogues, but they were like flies trying to stop a mad bull. A report on the destruction and panic soon reached Rabbi Loew, who was praying in the old new synagogue. He went out of the building in a hurry, but could not see the monster, who was too far in another section of the ghetto. So the rabbi ordered loudly out in the space. Without seeing his servant, Yossel, stop where you are. And Yossel froze. To the astonished eyes and great relief of the terrified people of the ghetto, Yossel remained stock still like a statue. The rabbi quickly went to that place where the golem stood and whispered into his ear, Yossel, now go to your corner in my courtyard and wait there for me. Yossel obeyed and went home like an obedient child. The terror, however, did not vanish. People realized that the golem could do more harm than good, much more harm than the goyim themselves. The synagogue counselors then advised their rabbi to destroy the monster. The rabbi was very upset over what had happened and very much resented the advice to annihilate the golem. After all, Yossel did much good to the congregation, but the rabbi was in no position to disagree with his counselors. He was permitted to argue with everybody else, even with the emperor, but he could not disobey the disposition laid down by his aides. So he went home and willy-nilly took Yossel to the loft of the old new synagogue. There he ordered the monster to open the mouth and took the amulet out of there. Figure 34. We will look at this one. Here's figure 35. Oh my gosh. Oh no. There's the golem. Burn it on a candle. The golem, his mouth open before death. Wise Rabbi Loew took the amulet from his mouth and annihilated him. I don't know. He mentioned earlier that he had a tallywhacker 9 inches long, but that didn't look very long to me, bruv. The foul odor of the monster's mouth almost made the rabbi faint, but he composed himself and then completely erased the magic word Emet from the amulet. The huge golem became what he was on the rainy night when he first came to Rabbi Loew's house, a trembling, soft-speaking, hungry semi-demon, the wandering vampire who traveled a long way from Transylvania. In search for food and strength, the rabbi ordered the spirit to flee far from there and to never come back to Prague. Next day, the news spread in the ghetto that Yossel died in the loft of the old new synagogue, and indeed, for many years afterwards, a pile of dried mud could be seen in a corner of that loft. People used to say that the pile was Yossel's corpse. Some said it was just a pile of dust and nothing else. After many more years, a young rabbi, very modern for those days and open-minded, ordered a servant to put the mud into slop pails and throw it away on the Moldau bank. Medieval Transylvania. Next, we will pursue the mysterious Count of Saint Germain. Don't know if these guys are related to, but we shall see. Goodbye, bruv. Goodbye.